but last week they faced off against the likes of Smashy and Jay Coper. There's a deep field, and so being 0-1 is nothing to be ashamed of at this point. But let's see what they're starting off with.
Absolutely, and look at those starting stats. 5 strength, but they do have hurt more and just enough MP to cast it once. First chest is a cursed belt. Second chest is a fighter's ring. That's at least 2 extra attack points there.
Yeah, the 2 extra attack points might actually matter for the enemies who they're not going to be able to spend their 1 hurt more on.
And they do both remember to actually put it on. I'm guilty of forgetting to do that many times.
And as for the overworld, lots of plain tiles. At least there's no swamp, but it would be nice to get a higher encounter rate. Looks like both of them are immediately going to head out to the map to try to find someone to hurt more.
Power by 3, response speed by 3, hit points by 4, and 2 new spells, Heal and Sleep. Very, very useful pickups there, both of them. Looks like brisulph is going to try a sleep on this Rogue Scorpion, not so much, and is going to be sent back home. Meanwhile, Asmadi finds himself a Wolf Lord going a little bit further, but not too much further, and his exploration has also been brought to an end.
Yeah, they're basically on exactly equal footing right here at the start. They both managed to kill the same monster and get sent back, and we might see another iteration or 2 of that before they go much farther. We'll see.
Oh wait, that's a capital L. That's an agility build for brisulph, isn't
Correct.
it?
He always runs strength agility, from what I can remember. I used to, a couple years ago before the tournament, he was available for early morning race practice, and I raced against him many times.
551 and more magic.
But still not the attack power to be able to hit some of these higher tier enemies, and so it's just going to be 1 kill, possibly another small kill that you can get with your fists, and then get sent back to the castle to refill those magics and get another hurt more.
Absolutely. I mean, if nothing else, you're at least getting a refresh after you get some extra stuff to be able to do more.
It seems like they're starting off here on Peninsula, and so at least at the beginning, they're both going to be kind of like locked into the same linear path and going through these same monster zones. And right now, the agility for both players is still pretty low, so I expect we're going to be hurt-mooring guys, possibly to, I don't know, level 6 before we'll be able to get very far, and then after that, the HP in the swamp might end up bottlenecking the players a little bit further.
Yeah, now brisulph taking down a Wraith Knight, very useful. 1 power, 5 speed, 4 hit point, 6 magic. He sees a town in the distance. Can he make it there, though?
Definitely looks like it's walkable, except for there's a bunch of swamp tiles between here and there, and there's also a cave that it looks like he's going to go to first, because he doesn't have to go through any more swamp. I think that might be the Grave or Swamp North.
I didn't get a chance to see it, unfortunately, but he is going to go ahead and dive into this town. It is the town of Cantlin, which, in addition to having the Great Mall of Cantlin, 3 whole different shops, also happens to have the coordinates once they get access to keys. Useful knowledge? Perhaps not that useful immediately in the short term, but that's going to be a long-term value.
Indeed, and yeah, the fact that it's kind of sitting right there, it's going to be probably hard for Asmadi to miss it along the way as well, but it definitely seems like that cave is going to be the first thing that the players will definitely encounter on this particular route. But yeah, it seems like Asmadi is happy to settle in and try to kill another Wraith Knight or 2 in order to get another level and see if they can get some more hit points before moving on.
I certainly don't blame him. These stats are not really conducive to going very far, and these Wraith Knights are worth a lot of experience at this point. Here's another level. That's some really good stat ups that he's got there at level 6. We're starting to get things going. brisulph looks like he's going to do about the same thing. Is also going to get his level 6. 5, 3, and 19. 0 and 19.
Yeah, the 19 magic is going to be big, because now they'll be able to cast a few more Hurtmores, and since that's basically the only way they can make any progress right now, yeah, that's going to allow them to stay alive a lot longer.
Absolutely, although Asmadi does get that crit in on the Scorpion and take it down physically. Of course, 0 hit points, as Empty Eye would say. I love it!
And I see Asmadi has already managed to accumulate more than 300 gold, so has brisulph. Given that you're starting with Hurtmore, if there's a chainmail available here in Cantlin, that would be a really great pickup, because having some armor to balance out the offensive potential that your character is already magically imbued with would be great. It looks like brisulph is going to pick up the small shield and the leather armor, so I'm not even sure if he would bother walking down to the bottom shop at this point. He's got a little bit of armor, he'd probably be happy to get in and get out and keep exploring.
Yeah, almost certainly. Although that half plate for 1,000 is definitely probably going to be weighing in the back of his mind going, hey, that's a great value pickup later on.
Oh, I forgot that they had the cursed belt, and he's selling that. And now that he's got 300 gold, he's going to pick up some more herbs, and I wonder... No, I guess he's just going to go for the herbs. I was going to wonder if he was thinking about the chainmail, but I guess since he got the lever, it doesn't make sense. Asmadi now is picking up level 7.
2854 and another spell. It is the spell of Repel. Not that particularly useful at the moment, but again, later on will be quite useful in getting things moving along a little bit faster.
Yeah, and especially if he picks up even a tiny bit of armor or whatever, like Repel is a really good complement to Hurtmore, just to keep, the slimes and drakies away while you're trying to find these juicy guys like the Wolf Lord and the Rogue Scorpion who give a lot of experience for 1 Hurtmore.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, they're looking at much larger prey than they otherwise normally would. They're looking for things like those, the Wraith Knights, things like Wyverns, even Magi Wyverns, Axe Knights, of course, being the classic grind example at 130 experience points for potentially 1 Hurtmore. These are the kind of enemies they're wanting. That Armored Knight, though, not really so much, because, yeah, they do... They cast Axe more and you go away.
And yeah, similarly over here, brisulph has found the Star Wyvern, who he might be able to take down with 1 Hurtmore, but I think the odds are like, I don't know, 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 that a Hurtmore is going to do it most of the time. The Star Wyvern's still going to have some hit points left off, and in this case, the Jerkbird finishes off brisulph. Both of our runners have had a number of deaths already at this point, but it's not going to slow them down very much.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, that was Baby Breath from the Star Wyvern, which is actually usually less dangerous than the actual physical attack itself, meaning they're a little less dangerous once they do decide to start diving Sharlock. Something to keep in mind later on.
Also found a werewolf over here on AsmadiGames side, so we've seen a number of these Sharlock tier enemies. The werewolf is relatively unique in the fact that Hurtmore is never going to miss, and you can also use, if they had it, the Hurt spell against them pretty effectively if the Hurtmore doesn't quite finish them off. But the werewolf has Stop Spell, which is kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it means it's not attacking you. On the other hand, if you get Stop Spelled like Asmadi just did, you can't use your Hurtmore and you're out of luck.
Ooh, Metal Slime. This would be a good time to point out that there has been an update to the randomizer where we now have a flag called Scaled Slimes. There have been a couple of corner cases where, somebody comes up with an early Metal Slime, gets that bonus 255 experience points, and decides to convert that into a very crushing advantage. So instead of just doing a flat 255 in the early game, they only get 32 times their current level in experience points if they manage to take it down.
That said, Asmadi's fighting this guy currently at level 7, so that would still be worth the vast majority of the maximum experience for the Metal Slime here anyway.
Ooh, brisulph. 2 power, 9 speed, 5 hit points, 4 magic, and yet another spell. They are starting to get a lot of spells here.
Oh, and Asmadi just couldn't quite outlast the Armored Knight, almost had the hit points to get a second attempt to finish him off with Hurtmore, which would have gotten him up to level 8.
Looks like brisulph is going through the dungeon now, trying to get to the other side of this cave and do some exploration finally.
So I guess it was Swamp North and he's going from north to south, or is he walking back and forth? And once again, I missed the entrance. I
It
guess
was from
Swamp South.
Yeah,
Got
from
it.
Swamp South.
Oh!
Back of Garanham. This picks up another 3 chests here.
And the potential to set up a gold grind if he eventually can get a key.
Well, technically doesn't need a key. Oh yeah, you would need the key to get into the back of Rimildar. Unfortunately, nothing too exciting there.
Yeah, I saw a torch of fairy water, and I missed the one other thing.
Scale. I mean, it's decent pickup. Nothing too game-breaking, but definitely something interesting. Meanwhile, Asmadi continuing to do this grind here, taking on these Wraith Knights that are worth a decent amount of experience points, following the philosophy, when in doubt, grind it out! Meanwhile, brisulph trying to do some more exploration. Now, I did see a broadsword in there, which would be useful pick. You know, not that he especially needs it, but it can definitely supplement that hurt more.
So Asmadi's finally taking a peek into Cantlin. He's going to see what's for sale here. I wonder if he'll go down to the bottom shop. No, looks like he's also just going to go ahead and grab the leather armor and the small shield just right off the bat, just to have a little bit of armor advantage.
brisulph runs into an Axe Knight. Does not manage to take it down in one shot. That was a min roll on that hurt more, unfortunately, and will be abruptly sending him back home and curbing his exploration.
So Asmadi's also picking up a Dragon Scale, which he can equip for 2 extra defense power, and brisulph managed to get that at the back of Garanham as well. So yeah, bit by bit, they're picking up little bits of armor. And honestly, with the agility that they have right now, they're going to get the first turn on a lot of these monsters. And so long as you go first, you're in pretty good shape against all but the highest tier Sharlock monsters, given that they have hurt more.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some that you don't want to deal with. For example, wizards are extraordinarily resistant to the hurt and hurt more line. The demon knights also tend to be fairly resistant to them. But on the whole, things like Wraith Knights, and Axe Knights, and Wyverns, and even Star Wyverns, all the way up to Star Wyverns, are pretty decent.
Seems like perhaps Asmadi is also going to go check out Swamp South over here, and it'll be interesting to see once he discovers what it is, what he chooses to do.
Now, have we gone south of that Swamp Cave entrance to make sure that is infected?
brisulph did go directly south, and it was a dead end that was directly south of the Swamp South entrance.
Okay, because I've seen several times now in this tournament where they assumed it was a dead end, and it turned out to not be so. Blue Dragons, meanwhile, with a hurt more, that's a painful revelation.
Yeah, the Blue Dragon can be a tough enemy. Fortunately, with the agility that they have, they're already a favorite to run from it, so they're likely to have options to get away.
brisulph nuking the Axe Knight down. That's a healthy influx of experience points. They're almost neck and neck on experience right now.
I was just about to say the exact same thing. Now that Asmadi's gone into the back of Garanham, they're basically even on exploration, and they're also even on experience, so this is a nice tight match to start things off.
Absolutely. Oh, we have another town just here. And it is the town of Cole. And of course, as we all know, 4 steps south from the Bath in Cole is a potential search spot. And on this search spot, we shall find the Death Necklace. Now, this is something for the randomizer. In the vanilla game, all it would do is curse you. You would lose 1 hit point every time you took a step, and they would not let you into Tentakel Castle. They would just eject you, and you had to go to talk to the guy in Breckenary to get it uncursed. In the randomizer, if you put it on, you lose 25% max HP, but plus 10 attack power. That might come in play later on.
Alright, Asmadi's also found Garen's Tomb, another cave, just a little bit farther out to the, I think it was to the northeast. And so there's 3 chests just on the top floor here. Without keys, he won't be able to go down into the bottom of this tomb, but we'll see if he manages to make it to the first 3 alive.
checking the shop at Cole. I saw a broadsword in there at least. Oh, here's the chest. Gold. Has found an herb. And has found a fairy flute. Fairy flute is used in putting the golem to sleep. In the vanilla game, that was basically your key into Cantlin, as it was sitting there being the guardian of Cantlin. In this game, however, since we are randomizing where you run into monsters, you could theoretically run into a golem anywhere, and that is a great get out of death card, because it is a guaranteed sleep on the golem, and if he's asleep, it is a guaranteed run.
Meanwhile, brisulph is enduring a very long battle with the metal slime that ended up finally running away. They can be a double-edged sword because they are worth a bunch of experience, but it's also very likely that they'll run away before you can get 3 hits on them, and in which case you basically come up empty-handed, just having wasted the time. But now brisulph has also found his way into the Grave of Garen, and is likely to pick up these 3 chests as well.
Now, in chat, there was a comment, this is $700. That's a decent chunk of change, and it's not that far in. You could leave, come back, leave, come back, leave, come back, and, get yourself at least half plate, maybe full plate money in 3 or 4 iterations, maybe even pick up a broadsword and a large shield money, get yourself kitted out reasonably well. You don't want to go for like the 14,000 for a silver shield, but half plate or full plate, large shield would definitely be some defensive pickups. Of course, the other part of that is while you're doing that, your opponent is going out and actually exploring, and that could put you behind.
Yeah, and honestly, right now, they have enough hit points and hurt more that at this point, though they took a bunch of deaths right at the beginning, I don't think either of them has died, more than once in the last 5 minutes. And so I wouldn't be too worried about upgrading the equipment just yet. We're going to get a look at level 9. It looks like 6 power, 3 response speed, 12 hit points, and the spell of Radiant, I think, was added?
Yep. And outside.
Outside's actually pretty nice, since they have Swamp South right at the start. If they do die and have to get back through the tunnel, they can do it very quickly, because outside always brings you to the north end of the Swamp Cave. Now we've got a new town for brisulph. It's the town of Breckenary.
Home of the least expensive inn, the 6 gold inn. We'll leave a torch out for you.
So yeah, for being under 20 minutes, the runners have already located half the locations on this map so far, and are making pretty swift progress. It'll be interesting to see how much more spread out and far-flung some of the rest of the places are going to be.
brisulph does take the opportunity to pick up some chainmail here, which, a little bit more of a defensive pick. He's almost got large shield money if he could ever find one. There's probably one for sale somewhere in Cantlin, but at this point he's more interested in going out into the world and walking upon it and trying to get his laundry list of errands done. He will need to go ahead and find the harp, the stones, and the token, and then turn the harp in for the staff to get the rainbow drop for entrance into Charlock. Of course, he will need to find all those items, and of course, find the turn-in caves for both the staff and the drop, and find Charlock itself. So he has a lot of exploring left to do, and that is what he's doing right now, running into these armored knights, but is actually taking them on and taking them down in 2 shots with 2 hurt mores. Little bit expensive, unfortunately, and there's the resist that sends him back home, unfortunately.
And AsmadiGames apparently knows the exact same thing that brisulph does, because he went into Breckenary, he bought the chainmail, he explored the rest of the peninsula, and he died a little bit differently, this time to a demon knight. But once again, our runners are basically in lockstep with one another. It's a very tight race.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to be clear, both runners are doing a really good job of getting things taken care of, realizing when to hold them, when to fold them, and when to walk away.
I don't know that either of them has walked away. They've mostly been running. So yeah, at this point in the race, I imagine the runners are just going to keep exploring and pressing to try to find more things on the continent. like I said, despite the fact that they both just took a death there, like, it's been probably 5 minutes since their previous deaths or whatever, and it seems like other than 1 or 2 unlucky battles, they can pretty much stay alive just on the armor that they've got.
Absolutely, and they are pretty much still in lockstep 20 minutes into this race. This is a very
just
tight...
went down to that little peninsula that brisulph had explored before, so now he's even seen that bit.
Oh, there may be an area on the other side of Cantlin here.
Yeah,
that
does look like
a
it
bridge.
extends. Yep, okay, so this is something that brisulph didn't see, so we're starting to get a tiny bit of divergence. Meanwhile, brisulph is exploring on the second continent, another little nub that ends up just being another dead-end peninsula.
Looks like he's going back to Cantlin. Probably he's gonna heal up, renew his resources, and head out in that direction. So we may see a divergence in paths here.
brisulph manages to take down the green dragon. That's a lot of experience getting really close to level 10. And it actually wasn't too far away. He found the town of Hawksness, and with Hurtmore, they don't have Stop Spell, but there's still a lot of monsters that they might be able to take out on the spike tile here in this town, if he can actually make it there alive.
Yeah, obviously Axe Knight would be what you would want to see the most. Unfortunately, this green dragon interrupts him, resisted the first Hurtmore, the second one wasn't quite enough to take it down in one shot, unfortunately, so he's gonna have to go back.
And meanwhile, Asmadi's continuing this path in the first continent, and it really is opening up into a much larger landmass, so we'll see what's out here.
Yeah, and this could actually be the telling point here, because if brisulph thinks that's a dead end, and it's really not, he could spend a lot of time on that second continent trying to find things until he comes back to it. So, we'll see. But next level, 11 power, 7 speed, 4 hit points, 3 magic, and a new spell. Stop spell.
Yeah, that could be big if it turns out to be, for example, was it the blue dragon who had Hurtmore? If that guy was on the tile and you could stop spell him, that might make him someone who was previously going to be extremely formidable to be someone that you would be able to take down thanks to stop spell.
Absolutely, especially since once you do land that stop spell, every stop spell is basically a free turn at that point, would make him a much less formidable foe. And meanwhile, Asmadi has found Mountain Cave.
Yeah, there was another cave on the screen over there as well. I kind of lost track of exactly where Asmadi was. I guess still exploring that bit of the first continent. But here in the mountain cave, the first chest has an herb. There's going to be 4 more chests on the bottom, but this is a pretty quick cave if the enemies aren't bad.
And he's got enough levels, enough stuff that he shouldn't have too many problems.
So we got gold out of the second chest. Meanwhile, brisulph does get the level that we just saw Asmadi get.
A
Third
torch?
chest has a torch, then some wings. Still nothing too exciting.
It gives you wings!
One final chest in the mountain cave that's a little bit harder to get to, but it seems like the enemy set in here is pretty easy. And meanwhile, brisulph has found his way down to Hawksness once again, and this time he's likely to make it to the spike tile. I think that level 15 helps. Or level 10 at 1500.
And wings in the final chest in Mountain Cave. Nothing critical in this cave, unfortunately, but it is one more area to check off as being fully
There was an armored knight on the axe on the tile in Hawksness, and it got taken down, and Erdrick's token was buried in Hawksness. So there's one of the 3 story quest items that Sneaky was talking about before that now brisulph has, so he's got an advantage in that regard.
I think Asmadi has forgotten that he has the outside spell and is going to hero walk his way out.
It's possible
he's
goes
out
out
of
of magic
MP,
points. I was
yeah.
going to say he could just be conserving MP as well, since Hurt More is basically the way that they're staying alive. But yeah, maybe we'll get a chance to see what this other cave is that's on the screen. It looks like he is walking up there. And the answer is... it's Heart Cave. So that's where, once the players have the Silver Harp, you'll be able to turn it in order to get the Staff of Rains. That's a location that we'll have to return to.
Yeah, Asmadi right now is just trying to get as much exploration in as he can before he gets sent back home. He's wanting to make sure that if he can find what's out here, he can make sure
Molder is still outstanding, and that would be a really big find, both to keep him alive by being able to stay at the inn, as well as being able to buy keys, because we haven't seen any loose keys in the seed just yet, and so Remolder might be required.
It's entirely possible, and of course, even if it's a dead end, it's still a direction to explore in that has been completely checked off, as we see here.
Yeah, both players being very efficient and thorough, it seems like, in terms of exploring the bits of the map, other than the possibility that brisulph didn't see the little area past Cantlin. You can see a little bit of the stat divergence among our two runners. They're both at level 10, but since brisulph is running an agility build, he's found Remolder, by the way. This is really big. And so I guess this was way out here on the east of the second continent.
Absolutely. Asmadi takes down a metal slime. Of course, by level 10, you're at a point where they're just 255 experience points anyway.
But yeah, as I was starting to say, as a result, brisulph has more agility, 58 versus Asmadi's 55, but Asmadi has more hit points, 67, than brisulph, 63, and that's just as a result of the different names that the players are using, which affects the stat growth of your build. We're going to get a chance for now brisulph to check out the one chest that's here in the town of Remolder by spending 2 keys to get there.
No whammies. 750 bucks. Okay, that pays back for the 2 keys and then some. So, score.
And it's also one more chest checked off. We're still outstanding the Stones of Sunlight and the Silver Harp. At this point, there's the Overworld Coordinates, there's Free Stuff Cave, and the Tablet Cave, and I think, the bottom of Garen's Tomb are the other 2 chests where it could possibly be. Oh, and Tandagel Castle, of course.
Tandagel Armory, and whatever is behind Tandagel Armory may have something.
So yeah, brisulph is really in the driver's seat now because he has keys that can unlock 6 of those chests that Asmadi won't be able to get to, it looks like, until he gets to Remolder.
And currently Asmadi is exploring on the other side of Cantlin. If he continues that direction, that is only going to further delay where we, the viewers, know he eventually will need to go.
It's possible we'll find Free Stuff Cave and there'll be a key over there, and that could be an equalizer. In the meantime, brisulph has found his way to Tablet Cave, which was just outside of Remolder, and is walking the long walk down to the bottom to get to this one chest, where he finds a magic key.
Given its proximity to Rimildar, perhaps not the most exciting pickup, but there you go. Another box ticked.
Given that it seems extremely likely at this point that there is going to be something on the Cantlin Coordinates overworld location, this is probably going to make, at some point, the players want to consider rescuing the princess and seeing who's on the spike tile there in the Swamp Cave, which is very near the start.
Whoa, did I just see 55 hit points? Look at that stat gain!
Oh my goodness. One thing that we've noticed with the randomizer, this latest version of the randomizer, is a lot more variability in the gains that can come, and so it's not so incredibly infrequent anymore to all of a sudden just see this blast off into space. Usually it's from one of the stats that's lagging behind. The hit points were in a very normal level for level 10, and then at level 11 they just went straight to the moon. That was crazy. That also kind of works in brisulph's favor. He was running Strength Agility rather than Strength HP, and so the one weakness of Strength Agility is sometimes not having enough hit points. With that level, he doesn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, he's at 112 as opposed to 122. If the cursed necklace is required, you really want to have about 133 hit points so that when you put it on, you still have at least 97 so that you can eat a DL2 max hit and keep going. But
yeah, I think 129 is the cutoff for that. And yeah, right now, given that the players are given their other stats, looks like they're still going to need a number more levels. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near worrying about having enough HP on this one.
Definitely not. Asmadi doing a bit of grinding over here in these mountains.
There are a lot of tasty mid-game enemies, like the Rogue Scorpion that both players are fighting right now, that go down to a single heart more and give 70 experience or thereabouts.
We have a Charlock sighting on brisulph's part. One thing I will say is that Asmadi has been doing a lot of grinding here, but brisulph has been getting a commanding advantage in exploration.
Yeah, and the experience is still relatively close. Like, while brisulph has been exploring, he's still been encountering most of these same monsters that Asmadi's been seeing, and as a result, has been keeping up with the experience. And so the exploration, and especially having keys, is definitely a significant advantage for him right now.
He is about 1,000 experience points down. That's not enough. Well, 500 experience points.
I think it's about 300 difference right now, from what I'm seeing, 2,800, 2,500.
At 1,500 to 2,000, so about 500 experience points.
You're looking at the gold stats, I think.
Ah, okay. Oh, yeah, wrong number.
Alright, but we're going to get a look at level 12 here on Asmadi's side. Oh my goodness. 19 power, 18 more magic points, and some strength and some hit points to go with it as well. Stats are looking pretty good in this one. And that also favors the runner who's doing better in terms of exploration, because it seems like if there's not going to be a ton of grinding, it's mostly going to be about rounding up all the items and finding all the things. And so brisulph's possible lead seems to be increasing.
Yeah, keep in mind, anything can still happen in this match. It is not over until it is done. And I have seen so many times where we were like, okay, this runner has an advantage at the moment, only to have it completely flip over.
Yeah, especially given the way that the randomized overworld maps are. We talked about it a couple times already, like if brisulph ends up losing that one little sneaky location that gets out to different places, and not being able to find one of the key locations, then that could be something that could sink him, for example. But yeah, it is kind of curious that Asmadi has spent as much time grinding in this seed as he has, when it seems like he already has so much survivability. And I don't know, I guess that was just a mismenu, but Asmadi just did a random search of one square of the overworld. It seems like he's heading back into Swamp Cave right now, and given that he didn't outside right through it, I wonder if he's going to go check the spike tile and see if he can rescue... Well, I guess he doesn't have a key to rescue the princess, it just occurred to me.
No, but he can still check that spike tile and see if it's worth a better grind. And it is a blue dragon, which, with that stop spell, becomes a very attractive target. Meanwhile, brisulph is in the armory, found the Stones of Sunlight in the armory, as well as some money, so a gold grind is available. And a silver harp, so 2 of those key items were in Tantagale Armory.
That makes the keys even all the more important. So at this point, brisulph has rounded up the 3 key items. He knows where to turn in the harp for the Staff of Rain. I don't think he's found the jerk yet in order to actually obtain the rainbow drop. Perhaps he's living right down here below the castle. We're about to see. Nope, this is actually Free Stuff Cave. And the free stuff is Erdrick's Sword, oh my god.
And the Erdrick's Sword! Yeah, the cave with a free chest at the back end of Tantagale Castle. Who rolled this?
It's a Math Girl seed. In this case, it's one of the ones on the kind end of the spectrum, or so it appears. At least it's kind to anyone who manages to get a key. And so that's the main thing that's holding up Asmadi at this point. Will he find his way over to Remolder on the second continent?
Yeah, right now brisulph is definitely in the driver's seat, but of course Charlock is the great equalizer. There are certain enemies that we still have not seen yet.
And there's still a cave that we have not seen yet, and it's kind of the most important one because it's the one where you pick up the rainbow drop. So we'll see what happens there. In the meantime, oh right, the armor's still outstanding. I was like, why would brisulph choose to look at the coordinates? There's still one very important item that, while technically not necessary, is in all practicality always necessary, which is Erdrick's armor. However, it is not on an overworld location. The Cantlin Old Man says go forth and fight, which means there is no overworld search coordinates.
And if I remember it correctly, the only place that it could potentially be is bottom of grave or in Charlock.
You are correct. The plot thickens.
Dun dun dun!
Alright, Asmadi has managed to take out the armored knight that's here in Hawksnest, picks up Erdrick's token, and is going back for more because he seems still very interested in grinding.
Yeah, now armor in Charlock is kind of a meme in the community because remember, at the very top of Charlock Castle, you've got those barrier tiles before you get down into the actual dungeon area itself. You got all of those enemies that are just really, really painful enemies. We already know that blue dragons have hurt more. We haven't seen these armored knights do anything too crazy yet, but we haven't really gotten a large sample size.
And yeah, at this point, it is worthy to note that Asmadi really has taken an experience lead now by grinding. Settling in on these armored knights, he's now 1,000 experience points ahead. He still has a lot of exploration to catch up on, but this could possibly kind of help even things out in terms of the overall course of the match.
I don't think there's anything of value over on the side past Cantlin, so while brisulph may have missed that exploration, that may not have actually been a bad thing for him.
And it looks like Asmadi just picked up another level. At this point, at level 13, they've already picked up all of the spells. The stats at level 13 looked modest. I only got a glance at them.
Oh right, the staff cave was over there, wasn't it? So yeah, he will need to remember at some point that he needs to go west of Cantlin.
However, no, I got turned around.
He's in grave and can fully dive grave because he's got keys.
Right.
And is in fact doing that right now because he's got the idea that, okay, if it's not down here, it's gonna be in Charlock, and it's worth a dive just to check.
Yeah, 2 in 9 odds at this point that the armor will be down there. It's the only kind of significant item remaining for him to hopefully pull out of a chest at this point. Meanwhile, Asmadi is kind of thoroughly checking out more of this continent, and I think he's going to be almost forced to go further to the east and is probably going to encounter Remolder in the next 2 minutes.
Speaking
or
of...
30 seconds, as the case may be. Alright, so here's a possible equalizer for Asmadi, and in the meantime, brisulph is continuing to dive the grave.
Chest number 4 is coming up around this corner. Gold.
Alright, 1 in 8 chance that the armor is at the bottom of the grave, and then the other 7 chances mean it's going to be somewhere in Charlock, either one of the 6 chests in the Charlock treasury, or that 1 extra chest off to the side. Meanwhile, Asmadi's going to find out the bad news that there's just some gold here in this chest in Remolder, but he will immediately continue outside into the other cave that is over there.
He does have full plate money if he wanted that. He also has large shield money, and I think there's a little offer here.
brisulph just picked up level 12, which had the big power gain that Asmadi already got a little while ago.
Final chest is a cursed belt, so we're going to Charlock, folks.
Chat is going to get their money's worth. I think the viewers always like things that make things tougher on the runners or kind of extend the race, and definitely having the armor inside Charlock is one of those things. Erdrick's armor is extremely valuable in terms of both its defense as well as its other capabilities, and not having it while having to dive the 7 basements of Charlock means that you're going to be undergoing quite the stress to try to get it.
So yes, kind of a jet seed. We're at 40 minutes in. We've got the 3 key items-ish. We haven't... brisulph needs to still head west to find Harp Cave. They both still need to find the Rainbow Drop Cave. brisulph at least knows where Charlock is. If not a jet seed, it's at least jet adjacent.
Well said. brisulph is going to pop back into Breckenary to stay at the inn and kind of restore himself as he continues to walk the map. Someone says that brisulph has seen the jerk. I missed that.
So right now, brisulph just needs to get back to Cantlin and head west. And this is where I was talking about earlier. It's not necessarily what you know, it's what you think you know, but you're wrong about that. Can really bite you on these seeds with these exploration. If he's of the opinion that west of Cantlin is a dead end, when we know that the staff cave is off in that direction, he could spend an awful lot of time spinning his gears, not being able to do things. Meanwhile, Asmadi cleaning up now, picking up the 2 key items here. He knows where that staff cave is. He's been there before and can immediately turn that in. And this could be the difference.
Indeed. High dramatic irony. This game just got interesting.
You paid for the whole seat, but you're only going to need the edge.
Just catch people up if they're just getting here. Now that the runners are mostly getting equalized in terms of some of the equipment. The stones and the harp were both found in Tanagel. Coal contained the Death Necklace. Sunstone's cave, right underneath the castle that Asmadi is about to see, contains Erdrick's sword. And inside the top of Garen's tomb had the fairy flute, and at this point we know that Erdrick's armor is somewhere buried deep in Charlock Castle.
And now Asmadi picks up Erdrick's sword, goes from bare-handed fist action to the most powerful weapon in the game.
So at this point, given the 2 grinds available to the players, we know that there is a blue dragon in the Swamp Cave and an armored knight at Hawksness. Both are not, they're like a screen or 2 away from an inn or from the starting point. Yeah, do you know which one you would prefer to grind in this scenario?
Ooh, I'll be honest, neither one of them are, like, amazing. The armored knights are worth more experience per kill, but it's going to take longer per kill, and it's going to hit harder, whereas the blue dragons, if you can land that stop spell, are a pretty free fight. Both of them aren't too far from a town for iteration. I'd personally probably end up going for the blue dragons.
Yeah, I think I'd go for the Armored Knights just because they have so much magic. Like, it does take 2 Heartmoors to knock them out, and you're probably going to take some damage in between and need to heal. But given that they already have in the mid-80s in terms of magic points, and it also, I was just kind of asking the question about the grind because you just kind of have the natural default assumption that you're going to have to do some grinding. It's possible that level 14 might end up being go time stats in this particular seed, modulo, of course, the fact that they need to pick up Erdrick's armor, and so they might need multiple dives of Charlock, one to go in and grab the armor, and another to actually try to go down and win the game. We'll see.
We'll definitely see. They still need quite a hefty total of strength to really have a good chance at that Dragon Lord, so we will see what we will see. I mean, I've seen these seeds stall out strength for several levels. This is a Math Girl seed, remember.
Yeah, but on Asmadi's side, he's already got 122 attack power, and he has a death necklace and 130 hit points. So he's already reaching the point to where he, it's not quite borderline, but getting close to borderline to being strong enough to defeat the Dragon Lord. Charlotte Castle, on the other hand, is perhaps a whole other story.
Yeah, Charlotte Castle, often referred to as the Great Equalizer, because many runs have died in those halls.
Have we seen a single red dragon yet this seed?
We have not, and that's a little concerning.
Indeed, that is always a question mark that, as a runner at this point in the match, you're also thinking about in terms of what are the unknowns that I may encounter. I also can't recall if we've seen a stone man either.
I haven't seen any stonemen. We've seen a golem, but it was just an immediate run, so we didn't get a chance to see what it has access to.
Yeah, so there's still a lot of possibilities for Sharlock to really throw these runners down, especially given the fact that they're going to have to dive Sharlock without Erdrick's armor.
Okay, brisulph has finally realized there's something funky going on here and is trying to go explore. If brisulph figures out that he needs to go west from here, this could be brisulph's break.
Yeah, he did just retrace his steps to the South Peninsula that he had already seen, but now it does look like he's starting to head in the right direction, and so assuming he can go another 2 screens or so to the left, I think that's where it crosses a bridge and really opens up, and he'll realize that there's undiscovered land over there, and that's where he needs to go.
Also, all spells known by level 13 is not too shabby either.
Yeah, we had one the other night that was like at level 11, they had all the spells, which is just about as early as I've ever seen it.
And brisulph does finally realize that he made a slight error.
Yeah, so he's going to be a little bit behind Asmadi in terms of trading in the harp to get the Staff of Rain, which has that cool little animation when you first pick it up on the tracker with the rain clouds. But yeah, at this point, brisulph knows where the jerk is, and I never saw if Asmadi ended up discovering that location on the second continent or not. Asmadi's still holding on to an experience lead right now after the bit of grinding that he did, but the lead is somewhat tenuous. Yeah, this could be a really interesting finish for a number of reasons.
He's still able to take on some of these enemies, and right there is going to be that staff cave that he's going to need.
And I guess it had not occurred to me brisulph hadn't been through the mountain cave. It's only going to take him like 2 minutes to get through, and there's almost zero risk that he's going to die in here, but this is kind of a distraction because inside the mountain cave was basically a bust. There is an herb, gold, torch, wings, and wings, none of which are things that he needs at this point. So he's going to be wasting a couple minutes here while Asmadi is going to be making progress toward the endgame.
Ah, yes, question in chat. Why is he the jerk? That is the NPC that we turn in the 3 key items for to get the rainbow drop, and is named such because if you do not have the requisite items, he very rudely kicks you out.
I was just taking a look at the schedule. For those who don't know, there's a bunch more matches today. There's one at 6, 7, 9, 10, and 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're enjoying Dragon Warrior Randomizer, we'll probably at the end of this race try to pull up the schedule in terms of the various channels that you can watch on Twitch. But there's lots more races to come both today and throughout the rest of the week and the next few weeks, because we're just here in week number 2 of the Swiss pairings in this tournament.
The next one will be coming up at 6 o'clock Eastern Time.
And so at this point, from brisulph's point of view, I think he's getting close to where that Staff of Rain cave is. And once he manages to grab that location, which he's just found, he does know where the jerk is. And so at that point, he'll be able to go trade in for his rainbow drop, and then he'll be basically in armor and go, I guess you might say. Usually it's grind and go, but at this point they still need to get Erdrick's armor.
Yeah, I would do a dive for the armor. I would take whatever encounters I'm offered on the way down instead of dodging everything, just to get some experience points while I'm diving. Hopefully get level 14 or 15 on my way down. Grab the armor, get out of there, and then if I still don't have go stats, do a bit of grinding at that point.
Yeah, that sounds like a very solid strategy. And again, it just comes down to what monsters and what abilities they have that we end up seeing in Charlock. If Charlock is nice, that sounds like a strategy that's going to play out relatively straightforwardly, and we're going to have a nice quick match here that's going to be close. If Charlock is not so nice, then who knows? Yeah, brisulph did pick up the flute just in Mountain Cave, or sorry, in Garen's Tomb a while back, I think. And the death necklace was in Cole, which he also found.
brisulph now casting a repel, spending the night at the most expensive inn. Asmadi has now found Charlock, and is going to go ahead and open up Charlock, and is going to be the first one into Charlock. brisulph right on his heels. We still have a very close race.
It's interesting to note, brisulph is already wearing full plate. Asmadi only has half plate and a small shield. brisulph has the large shield, and brisulph has also got the agility build, which means once he gets up to level 14, he's going to have more agility than Asmadi as well. So he might have a little bit of an easier time diving Charlock and staying alive while going for the armor. Asmadi, oh, and here's our first red dragon. He has 127 attack power. I'm not sure that running from the red dragon is necessarily the best strategy, and perhaps now he has changed his strategy to trying to heal and fight this red dragon, get its experience, and be assured that he'll be able to continue his dive.
Yeah, unfortunately, with his stats, it's probably better to just take them instead, because, I mean, it's 255 experience points. You need at least one more level anyway. Why not take the experience that's on offer?
Yeah, and the red dragon's the most, agility monster that you're going to encounter. It's the hardest to run from in Charlock, and so running is unlikely to work anyway, and so you might as well kill it and get the experience.
Question in chat, where's Armor and Vanilla? It is in Hawksness under an Axe Knight.
So at the moment, Asmadi has about 1,000-point experience lead, and maybe a couple minutes head start going into Charlock. But, as we mentioned, doesn't have quite as good equipment going down, and won't have as much agility, which may be important during the dive.
Not only that, but trying to run from that red dragon burned several heal mores, and so he's starting to run low on his energy tank in terms of MP.
But brisulph is picking up his rainbow drop, and so he'll be able to head over to Charlock momentarily.
Yeah, Asmadi bails out on that run. I don't blame him. He ran out of resources. He's gonna swing by the nearest town, top off, and come right back.
And that's a good strategy. It would have been easy to say, I'm like halfway down, let's see if I can run the rest of the way. But even if he succeeded, he wouldn't be gaining any experience during that time and give brisulph a chance to really catch up. brisulph is going to start catching up a little bit here as he starts doing the dive. We're going to see if brisulph is going to be successful, making it all the way down to Erdrick's armor on this first attempt.
This is still very much anybody's game.
The one thing to note about the red dragons is it seems like they were just bite, 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 and so if they don't have any special abilities, that at least takes some of the crazy randomness that Charlotte can throw at you out of the picture. But there's still the randomness of just how many red dragons you're actually going to encounter. brisulph gets an excellent move to finish off a blue dragon. That's going to be worth 180 experience points. Next up, an Armored Knight. He's going to be willing to spend the Hurt Moors, get the experience, and continue his dive.
Yeah, I honestly don't blame him. This is exactly what I said my plan would have been. Taking the experience points as it comes. These blue dragons, these armored knights, even the red dragons. These are some really juicy targets for experience point values, and this can get you to 15 in a hurry as you're already diving. And like we had mentioned before, it's so difficult to run from these enemies anyway, you might as well just take them down.
I suppose now is a good time to engage in one of our favorite pastimes, which is guessing which of the chests inside Charlock is going to have the desired item, in this case the desired item being Erdrick's armor. There's 6 chests arranged in a pyramid in the treasury that we often, like the pyramid game, refer to as the 50, 100, 150. Next row is 200 and 250, and the top is 300 as the different chests. There's also one other chest in a different location that we refer to as the judges table. So if you have a guess as where you think the armor is going to be, feel free to put it in the chat and find out who's right, hopefully in a few minutes.
I'm not gonna comment for fear of commentator's curse.
That is fair.
However, there does seem to be a preference being stated in chat by several individuals.
Alright, brisulph in the first floor killed a bunch of monsters, but he's already burned through more than half of his mana pool. And so it'll be interesting. He's actually choosing to take a swing at the Armored Knight, which ended up being for 32. A Heartmoor might finish off the Armored Knight at this point, and so rather than spending 10 magic points on the fight, he only had to spend 5. That's a good veteran maneuver, and he's at least going to get level 14. He'll get a bundle more of agility, as well as just 2 hit points.
Yeah, that 84 agility has pumped up his defense to 78. That's actually pretty respectable down here.
And yeah, he may need that in order to stay alive in this dive. I'm not sure at this point if he's going to continue or plan to outside out. Right now, the fact that he's using herbs does mean that he's planning to continue for the moment. But now he's using the agility a different way. He chose to run from the blue dragon. So he's really committed to this dive, trying to get the armor out of here. He's running from the golem as well.
He's still going to attack the Armor Knights, will probably attack the Fun Police as well, simply because they're so hard to run from even when you have agility. I mean, these are the guys that coined the term, agility's just a number anyway.
And meanwhile, Asmadi is kind of passing him here on the same floor of Charlock. Asmadi had a good luck with fewer encounters, but is also choosing to do some running. Actually successfully ran from an Armored Knight. So we have literally a race. Now it's a foot race through Charlock. Both of our runners trying to get down to the bottom and find that armor.
Exactly. And mind you, brisulph has actually narrowed down that experience point lead. They're only off by like 400 now.
It really could come down to the encounter luck or some of the run luck against some of these most difficult monsters. But yeah, our runners are neck and neck.
Asmadi trying to run from this Armored Knight has been blocked 3 times in a row.
And it'll be interesting to see now also, is brisulph going to go to the treasury, or is he going to go off to that one separate chest at the judges' table? An excellent move against an armored knight is extremely fortunate, taking that guy out in a single swing. And he is taking the odds at going to the Charlock treasury. I do think that is the correct move in this particular situation.
Well, I mean, mathematically speaking, it is the correct play in that you have 6 chests versus a single chest.
But there are red dragons on the bottom floor of Charlock. The last 3 floors have different monsters set than the floors that they were on previously. And the red dragon here, he does still... Oh, another excellent move. That's terrific timing. So it looks likely that he's going to make it to the treasury.
He's going to burn one of his heal mores here. He's got one more left in the tank, but he is going to go ahead around this... almost around this corner. He's going to run into a wizard. Does manage to run from it. And let's see.
He'll be repelling the wizard after he picks up the armor.
Sure.
Or able to repel.
Fairy water. There's the armor.
The 300 chest. I don't know that anyone guessed the 300, so nobody wins today. Sorry.
Immediately outside, he's probably going to sleep at the inn nearby, and he's going to decide what to do. I don't really like these stats for diving. You could probably do it, but it'd still be a little bit risky.
Yeah, it's a tough choice here. He knows that he's probably facing a runner that's got a hit point build rather than agility build, who'd be able to put on the death necklace and have more solid stats to take on the Dragon Lord at level 14. It could be done from his point of view without the death necklace, but level 15 might be more solid. There's just Remolder here. I wonder if he wants to pick up Fairy Water. Nope, he's just choosing to go back into Remolder. I guess that was just a miswalk.
Personally, I'd really want to at least see what 15 is. I wouldn't feel comfortable on this set trying to go...
Yeah, and I didn't realize just how close they are. They're only 600 points away or so from picking up level 15, and that's easy to pick up just on the walk down. If he picks up, for example, 10 more hit points, then that could put him into really good shape, for example, and strength always helps as well. And so I think it's likely that level 15 is going to be at least pushing the runners enough over the top that they'll be willing to try to win at level 15 on this dive, even if, well, it looks like since there are so few monsters to kill, it looks like brisulph is just going to try an overworld grind right now here in the desert, see if he can kill about 3 more monsters, get the level, and perhaps if it comes with more magic points, stay at the inn once more before diving Charlock. So this is interesting. Meanwhile, he's headed back to the inn.
He's burning resources to take these enemies down, and so he's like, okay, I don't want to be down in the bottom of Charlock and have to go all the way back to top off the tank again. I'm just going to be hanging out here where I've seen blue dragons, star wyverns. These are still valuable pickups here to be able to take on. Is he actually going to go to that armored knight there in Hawks?
He's having trouble picking up enemy fights, and so that's a possibility. Meanwhile, Asmadi's headed directly to the inn. It'll be interesting to see if he heads directly back to Charlock before getting the level up. I think brisulph is just looking for desert tiles and looking for one good encounter, and is just failing to find it. So yeah, now he finally is going into Charlock, or into Hawk's Nest, because he knows he's got an armored knight here that he can level up on.
And there is a town nearby to top off from, so it's really an intelligent decision. You're also already pretty close to Charlock, so you have a shorter iteration time there once you do ding.
Man, the first 10 minutes of this race, the runners were like in complete lockstep and completely even. They diverged, and then they've come back together, and they're basically completely even again right here. All right, the level up, 3, 3, 4, 4 for brisulph. That is a marginal level, but it's probably good enough to call it go time, so I think he's going to go back to Remolder, take an inn, and head into Charlock with these stats and see how it goes. Or something else. maybe he's going to go purchase some Fairy Waters because he thinks he doesn't have the attack power and the Fairy Waters will help in the battle.
I mean, Fairy Waters are slightly ahead of where his attacks will be, but not by that much.
Asmadi also sees the 3-3-4-4, and so the stat builds didn't really differ in terms of the level 15 handouts. He is going to take the Inn and Remolder. He does have enough hit points to use the Death Necklace, and so I think Asmadi does have a slight advantage in terms of his build, in terms of being able to defeat the Dragon Lord, but Sharlock is still going to be tough. With these kind of borderline stats. On our tracker, you'll see that some of the numbers are showing up green and some are showing up orange. The green stats are typically good enough to be go time to defeat the Dragon Lord on their own. The orange stats are kind of more conditionally good enough. If the other stats are looking good, an orange stat is usually good enough to win. They've got a few orange stats here, and so it's going to be close.
I tend to be a more conservative player, and I would have looked at those and goes, nah. I'll try for 16. I wouldn't be comfortable with those stats, but then again, there's a reason that I'm sitting here in the commentator's booth and not participating.
Yeah, in my early days, I also would have been conservative and wanted to go for 16 here. Nowadays, basically, anytime anytime I feel like there's at least a 50 to 60% chance I could defeat the Dragon Lord, usually I just try to go for it then. That said, it's really going to come down, I think, to Sharlock. If they manage to maintain all their magic points on the way down, I think both runners have a good chance of taking on the Dragon Lord. But Sharlock is going to be, as you said, the great equalizer. We'll see what encounters these guys get, what kind of run luck they have.
Yeah, I mean, right now they've got 12 heal mores, which should be enough, but if they've got to start burning those heal mores on the way down, like these armored knights that just won't let them away, red dragons that won't let them go, and they have to start burning some of these heal mores, it gets a lot dicier real quick.
And another thing to note that's unlucky for brisulph, I remember seeing 1 wizard and 0 werewolves in Sharlock. Those are some of the things that he could be repelling, but I think given the way the stat gains turned out, I think Asmadi would also be perhaps repelling the wizard at 80 defense points as well. The fact that brisulph wasn't able to pick up the silver shield on this run, which is often something that makes an agility build have a strong advantage at the end, kind of changes things around. In this case, brisulph ended up taking an unexpected death there, so that's really going to set him back, but who knows, maybe the same thing will happen to Asmadi.
Yeah, and there is technically a gold grind that might have been available, but I guess they decided not to.
Since that was brisulph just rediving, and he hadn't opened any chests, I forget what was underneath Sharlock, but I think you wouldn't be able to do the gold grind right out of Sharlock there, if that's what we're thinking, or underneath Tanagel is what I meant to say.
Yeah, because that backs into Swamp Cave, that backs into Garenham. You pick up the 3 in Garenham, the 3 there,
right, I forgot about that.
So yeah, I mean it's kind of a corner strat, but that's absolutely a gold grind enabled, and you've almost certainly got a silver shield in Cantlin at one of the 3 stores.
Alright, Asmadi had to burn a heal more on an armored knight on one of the top floors. He's continuing the run down.
Yeah, I wouldn't, if I ran into a golem, I just wouldn't even bother. I just whistle and run. That way it's a guaranteed run. They're not going to block me and force me to waste more resources.
I think if I was at maximum hit points, I would try the run first, since you are a very strong favorite to run, but if it fails once, then I would use the Fairy Flute and go away, or if I wasn't at max hit points to start, I'd use the Fairy Flute right from the outset. Right now, Asmadi's looking like he's got good chances. If he can get down to the Dragon Lord with 10 heal mores, he's in very good shape. Had a nice walk for the first third of the bottom floor. Now a golem manages to get a surprise attack on him, however, and he doesn't use the Fairy Flute. See, that's exactly what I was saying. I would try to run at the beginning, but once you're no longer at maximum hit points, then it might be useful to whip out the flute as an deterrence policy, because if he takes a death on this bottom floor, or even just has to spend another heal more, that could easily cost him 6 or 7 minutes if he has to die and restart.
Not only that, but do keep in mind, if he puts on that death necklace and he doesn't win, he gets kicked out of Tantagel at 1 hit point.
There's a lot at stake. That's what makes it exciting. That's why we're watching. It's a red dragon on the Sharlock spike tile. Fortunately, he gets there with maximum hit points, so we should just be able to damage race this guy without spending any heal mores if he's lucky, and then he can just use his herbs to heal up, and he'll still have a good chance at the Dragon Lord if he can go another 6 steps or so.
Ooh, brisulph has to blow a heal and an herb at the very top, ran into a red dragon that wouldn't let him go. Meanwhile, Asmadi is also going to be healing up. He's got 10 heal mores in the tank. Let's see if that's going to be enough, topping off with that herb. I would have probably held off on that one until the middle of the fight, but that's just me.
Looks like he was doing a double check of the stats to make sure his Death Necklace strategy is in play. But yeah, I expect him to put on the Death Necklace, get cursed. The extra attack power doesn't kick in until the Dragon Lord 2 fight, as well as the reduction in maximum HP. So he'll beat up on Dragon Lord 1, and then do Dragon Lord 2 with more attack power and less maximum HP. We'll see how it goes.
Does get the stop spell into the next act at least. 93 hit points is sufficient to be able to get a double here unless he gets back attacked.
With the first action against the Dragon Lord, he is in pretty good shape.
Oh, 47. Can't risk it.
He'll probably be averaging about 15 per swing here. We just saw a 16. If he stays on average, I think he's likely to win. The Dragon Lord can have anywhere between 150 and 165 hit points in Randomizer, so we don't know exactly where the final count's going to be on the Dragon Lord. There's 19 that's really going to help his cause. And meanwhile, brisulph is continuing very quickly down the middle floors.
Now the other thing is at 80 defense points, you can be physical attacked for, I believe, 49?
50. If you had 82 to 85, it would be 49. And yeah, it's very uncommon though, because the Dragon Lord has such a big bite range. He could bite anywhere from 25 to 50, I think. And so the chances of getting the 50 are extremely low. I think basically if you have 49 or 50 hit points or whatever, you just take a swing and hope that he doesn't bite you for that much.
Did manage to eke out a double there, which definitely helps his odds.
Yeah, he's nearly a lock, probably, after getting 2 attacks in a row without having to heal.
Meanwhile, brisulph is on the final floor now. Break out your GGs! Asmadi has defeated the Dragon Lord!
That was great! This was a very close race through and through. We've got one runner on the bottom floor and one who just finished up, and it was a fast race here. Gonna come in with a winning time somewhere with a minute 12 and change.
Absolutely. Very close race, first to last. Probably the deciding factor was brisulph not realizing there was something west of Cantlin.
Yeah, definitely that overworld exploration, which is ironic because he had the great overworld exploration to get the keys earlier. But then, yeah, losing track of that one spot where the Staff of Rain Cave could be hiding slowed him down. And then also, I think he did have a little bit worse encounter luck on the first couple of Sharlock dives there. This is easily one that could have swung kind of either way, with Sharluck, as people often refer to it.
Yeah, of course, several people in chat are also pointing out that unfortunate AK-47 death that could have also been the difference. And, hello, GG! Welcome, Asmadi!
GG's. That was harrowing.
Fast races usually are. Yeah, what's your overall thoughts on the race?
I felt way behind the way the early part went, but maybe not. Yeah, it was very, very jet seed, which was interesting.
Yeah, hurt more seeds usually are. And yeah, you were usually maintaining a marginal lead on experience,
Okay.
but not necessarily on exploration. Brisulph got keys a lot sooner than you did, and
Mm.
so it seemed like that might end up being a turning point, but then had a little bit of trouble rounding up all the spots on the map right toward the end. And so that ended up making it very, very tight. And then unfortunately, he took a death in Charlock that you didn't take. You both got the armor like within a minute of each other. And he's fighting the Dragon Lord right now. So it's very
Yeah,
exciting to
I
watch.
see.
However, he does not have the Death Necklace equipped because he didn't have the HP to handle it like you did. So he's at a 10 AP deficit, which is going to make things a lot dicier for him. Oh, he
went
did
strength
put it
agility?
on. He put it on. Yeah, he went strength agility. He actually did put on the Death Necklace. So, you know, there are chances that he can end up getting doubled instead of giving them. It's still the right play, but, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, like the early map, like, you know, you get hurt more out of the gate, and you're like, well, gotta get out of zone 1, because I don't want to hurt more red slime.
Yeah, you both ended up finding the poltergeist right at the beginning. Spend your 1 hurt more. You basically took deaths like at the same moment or whatever, and it was really funny. Like the first 10 minutes, if you go back and rewatch, you guys were almost completely in lockstep. It was really interesting.
Yeah, 20 minutes in, the two of you were like mirror matches.
Yeah, because I saw, eventually I got down to Caitlin and stuff, I saw those Axe Knights, and I'm like, ah, crap, he could have been axing Axe Knights all day long, maybe, but it looks like we both had about the same luck, which is cool.
Yeah, and I mean, there were like Rogue Scorpions and Wolf Lords. Yeah. They're not quite Axe Knights, but they're still really juicy hurt more targets. And so kind of regardless where you went at the beginning of the map, it seemed like you guys were getting some pretty good enemies.
Yeah, there were the Wraith Knights, there were the Star Wyverns that y'all were picking off pretty consistently, the Rogue Scorpions y'all were picking off consistently, Werewolves.
Brisulph ended up having to throw a hurt more at the very end of the battle because he wasn't kind of getting all that he needed, it looked like. And it did not land. And so that is probably the end of the race from his point of view, but it would have been very close within 3 minutes.
That is looks like it's going to be a forfeit.
Oh, I wasn't counting. It sounds like Chad is saying he didn't need to. He was just going to do it to show off.
He's just for fun, sure.
That's all. I really appreciate that when runners do that. Like, if you already know you've lost the race, like still giving the viewers some fun.
That is fun. Yeah. So the second continent was really the big bonanza of everything. I was really excited when I found Breckenary until it turns out I had found Breckenary. Because that was way off in the corner.
Yeah, you can really get your hopes up when you're like, oh, my opponent probably didn't find this spot. Oh, it's Breck.
Oh, good for him.
Now, key point of difference in exploration is he got into the second continent very early, but he didn't find that there was actually a place west of Cantlin. He missed that whole area over there and probably spent 5-10 minutes trying in vain to find Staff Cave, which was over there west of Cantlin. So that kind of hurt him a little.
Well, yeah, it was a one square gap over there, and very easy to miss. Plus a useless mountain cave. Who doesn't love that?
Looks like Brisulph is not going to be able to come in here for an interview, unfortunately, but definitely GG and well played Brisulph as well. This was such a close race.
Yeah, it was a great game.
When you saw the stats at kind of like level 13, 14, wherever you were when you got the armor, were you thinking you were going to need to grind anymore, or were you kind of like saying, you know what, whatever I get at level 15, I'm just going to go? Like, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to give it at least one shot at 15, pretty much no matter what. It was marginal. And what I finished with like 1 heal more, 2 heal more spare. I got a really lucky triple at the end, which helped a ton. Or double, rather. But yeah, I was like, I'm close enough. I might as well just grab a couple monsters, get 15 quick, and then jump in. Because it would have been a really easy grind over at Hawksness to get Armored Knights for 16. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, the armored knights there in Hawks are actually really close to Charlock, as well as close to what was it, Rimildar, I think it was. So it would have been a fairly easy dive, and that's probably what I would have done. Of course, then I would have also lost because you would have beaten me to the dive at 15.
But yeah, it ended up being really close. brisulph actually did pop into Hawk's Nest to finish off an Armored Knight or two just to get level 15 right around the time that you were taking the inn to dive Charlock at level 15. So it was really close going right up into the end there. But then, yeah, brisulph ended up with an unlucky death to an Armored Knight on the top floor, and that set him back a few minutes.
Yep, they were meanies. They weren't super dangerous, but they were just sort of there, a lot of them.
Yeah, there were a lot of armored knights and a lot of red dragons all over the place. Decent number of golems too. That was just it all about that encounter luck and that run luck.
I don't think I saw DL2 Breath All Seed.
I don't think I did until the actual DL2.
Right.
There were Hurtmores from the blues.
Yep.
And that was very fortunate for a seed where the armor was in Charlock. It's not very often that we have an armor in Charlock seed that only runs less than an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. So anyway, since that was so quick, we're just going to run another whole seed. Everybody strap in.
Well, actually, speaking of which, the next match is coming up at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, just over half an hour from now, and that will be right here on this channel on Randomania.
We got to fill half an hour of talk? Oh, God. Everyone run.
But any final thoughts on the seed, Asmadi?
No, I mean, it was pretty fun and straightforward. It was definitely a hurt more efficiency grind seed, which is fun and interesting. It's a little bit of the opposite of the lately grind with 10 strength until your face burns off type of seed we've been seeing a lot of.
Yeah, that's one of the things that makes this Rando really interesting, is there is so much variability in all the different races in terms of the different scenarios that the runners are going to have to face up against. So yeah, with you'll be at 1-1 now, moving into the third week of the Swiss Challenge. It's obviously a very deep field because each time I go and take a look, like I've commentated already this week, 2 of the 0-0 races, and I was like, oh, these are experienced, decent runners. And I look at who their opponents were, and I was like, oh, I can understand how they ended up here. So yeah, moving forward to the tournament, is there anyone in particular that you are or aren't looking forward to possibly facing off against?
Well, I mean, I'm not Tilo, so I don't have to play Ness, I think. He just gets him for the next 3 rounds, which is gonna be fun for us. Like, I am looking forward to 3 more Ness Tilo matches. But no, I'll play whoever. It's all fun.
It's a lot of fun to play, and it's a lot of fun to watch. So thanks for entertaining us here today.
Yeah, GG's.
All right. Well, until then, until our next match coming up in a half an hour, we've got Stag was running our tracker for the evening. Those aren't automated. We have somebody behind the curtains flipping the switches. Math Girl is bringing the restreams. I am Sneaky the Lost. With me in the commentator's booth is Lorgon.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and look forward to a lot more matches today and for the rest of the upcoming weeks. Got a long tournament. It's fun.
And we'll see you there.